Alrighty. See, let's make this a little bit bigger. Damon's here. How you going, Damon? Good to see you, mate. Yeah, it's been a while. I haven't been live for ages. Been busy with freaking renovations and fucking everything. Been fucking crazy. Haven't even freaking been advertising for Tim's PC. That's how crazy everything's been right now. So, yeah, getting back into the swing of things. It's end of financial year. There's at least a few people inquiring without any advertising. But yes, alrighty. I think we'll be ready to jump right into this now, I think. So I got our first 5080 rig, so how good's that? Right? What do you reckon? I reckon it'll be fun to see what it can do. But the sad thing about it is that at least at launch it was worse than a 4090. So don't expect that big generational uplift in performance. It's not like it's gonna be, you know, game-changing kind of shit. Even the 5090 barely beats the 4090. So it's been a bit of 50 series has been a bit of a letdown. It's killed the mid-range gaming PC market, custom gaming PC market, which is heavily my customers. So that's part of why I haven't been advertising, because I can't just keep throwing money into advertising when, you know, people aren't really buying as many at that price point. You know, there's high-end people, but you know, you can't just keep putting heaps of money in and hoping to get those high-end customers, because they're few and far between. The market's a lot smaller for that. So, but yes, we've got a relatively high-end one right here tonight. So with skipping the intro and everything, I'm just going to get straight into it tonight. We'll go through the components and we'll get stuck into it. So we got a Ryzen 7 9800X3D 8-core 16-thread CPU. This CPU is the #1 gaming CPU in the world. So it's the king right now. Believe it or not, it's actually slightly faster than its Ryzen 9 cousins from the same generation. Something about the 8-core 16-thread architecture and how it's optimized and all put together means that this chip is just superior when it comes to gaming. We've got a MSI B650 Tomahawk Wi-Fi motherboard here. Quite a nice board. I'll give you a quick glimpse of the board. Sorry. But we'll check that out when we unbox it. We've got a kit of Klevv CRAS V RGB RAM. This is excellent RAM. Like, I mean, you might not know the brand Klevv, but if you purchase this memory, I guarantee you'll realize as soon as you pick it up, just the weight of each DIMM, the solid heat sink on it, the build quality. You can tell without even knowing the brand that this is more premium RAM, and that's what it is. And so, yeah, obviously I don't get paid by any of these suppliers or anything like that. I'm just telling you what I think. And so I just want to show you quickly. Yeah, they've actually got quite a bit of weight to them. It'd be interesting to weigh them compared to others. It's premium 6000 megahertz CL30, which is pretty much the sweet spot for DDR5 RAM when it comes to price and performance and stability, all of those good things. So yeah, definitely check out Klevv. Our graphics card, we got a Gigabyte Windforce RTX 5080 there. That's got the 3 fans on it. We have a Deepcool PN1200M power supply, 1200 watts, 10-year warranty, cybernetics gold rating, and gold efficiency as well. So yeah, 80 plus rating there, that's your efficiency rating. Do not use 80 plus as a guide to quality unless you're looking at platinum or titanium. You need to look at things like warranty and other things there as well. If you see a cybernetics rating on the power supply, like this one has, that is a quality rating, okay? So you can look at that and go, oh yeah, gold, yeah, that's excellent, sort of thing. Whereas, you know, 80 plus gold, there's some really fucking nasty, cheap and crappy 80 plus gold efficiency power supplies, but I wouldn't want to buy them for a customer, and I certainly wouldn't want one in my own PC. So for the case here, we got an Antec C5 constellation. It's quite a nice case. It's like a bit of a Lian Li clone, but it's a bit more low profile. I quite like it. As you know, I'm a big fan of Antec cases, and it comes with 7 pre-installed fans. So yeah, happy days. Yes, so the fan configuration there is 6 in and 4 out. So just for the reference. Alrighty, so I'll get this out of the way. Oh, and our cooler. I forgot our cooler, sorry. We have a Lian Li GA2 Lite 360. It's still a decent cooler. It's got the same pump that goes into some of the more expensive ones. It's got the same warranty. It's got a 6-year warranty on the pump. So it says 6-year limited warranty, and you might be going, well, what's limited about it? And well, the warranty covers the pump and like the hose and the radiator. The fans are not covered under the warranty, so don't go crying to Lian Li if your fan dies after 2 years, because after 2 years there's no chance of them sending you a new fan. I don't even think they'd send you a new fan. They'd probably say the fans are just not covered under that warranty at all, and unless it fails within 12 months they're not doing anything. 12 months is the minimum they have to under Australian consumer law. But yeah, not a big deal. They don't put 6-year warranty on coolers unless it's got a top grade quality pump on it. Alrighty, so let's get stuck right into it. Let me just... Come on. We'll go back to our image share screen, so you can have a look at the board there. It's got a nice pre-attached I/O shield. What you don't see on the screen here is what you get inside here. You get some stickers, so that's very exciting, you know, when you're 15 and stuff. Quick installation guide, very important. European regulatory notices, very relevant here in Australia. Notice my sarcasm with this stuff. MSI shout out. Oh, MSI's like, please post about us on social media. This little guy here, I swear he's a spy from MSI, and yet I keep him just up there. They've probably got some tiny little listening device in there so they can you know, undermine me. And you get some SATA cables and your Wi-Fi antennas, so pretty straightforward. Actually get them out of the box there, so I don't forget to hand them over to the customer. Alright, so let's have a look at this board. So I'll start from right up here, the top left, from your perspective. And then, yeah, I'll work my way around the board, pointing out all the features, and then we'll go over what's in the middle of the board, and then we'll go over the rear I/O. So, up the top here, we have two 8-pin CPU power connectors. So, that's, you know, it's good. You generally don't need that second one too much. It does benefit when you've got a high-powered CPU, but only very, very, very slightly. The main thing I like on this motherboard here is these nice solid heat sinks here on the MOSFET VRM coprocessors and all of this stuff that you see around the CPU. All of this stuff here is very, very closely linked, intimately linked to how a CPU processes. So if you put a high-powered CPU in that, all of this stuff around here is going to get really, really hot, essentially. So you can't get a CPU like this and get some like dunger motherboard that's got, you know, no heat sinks there, because then you're just going to end up burning out the components there. When I say burning out, I don't mean like actually destroying it and short-circuiting it and burning it. I just mean that it'll get to a hot temp and then the system will crash, because there's temp sensors here to make sure that it doesn't get too hot. So having a good heat sink there enables you to plug in a nice fast CPU into your motherboard. That's why you might have seen plenty of people put a really high-end CPU into a board that's fairly cheap, not a nicer board like this one, like a cheap one. As long as it's got a little bit of heat sink around here, you know, it goes all right. So in the middle there's obviously our AM5 socket. Over here to the right, you've got 3 fan headers, then one down here, and then another one here. Oh, sorry, one there as well. So that's a total of 6, 3 up the top, 1, 2, and 3. We got our 24-pin ATX power, main power for the motherboard. Fun fact is a lot of those pins don't get used very much these days. Got our USB-C header there. We have our SATA ports. We've got a total of 6 SATA ports, so if you've got a heap of hard drives you want to hook up, no bloody worries. We've got a USB 3 connection there that's vertically orientated. I really like that in terms of cable management. At the bottom here, so we've got a whole heap of random pins here at the bottom. We've got our clear CMOS headers. We've got an RGB header. We've got 2 other RGB headers up the top there before I forget. We have a speaker header for our little beep that you might remember in your old computer from, you know, 1995. We have our front panel headers there. We have 2 USBs. Oh, is that it? I'm sorry. This board does have 8. I totally missed these 2 fan headers at the bottom. There's a total of 8 fan headers on this board. Would you believe? Yeah, okay. Another RGB header. Our audio. These little gold capacitors here at the bottom. These are our audio capacitors. They're insulated. That's why they're different colors to the other ones, because it affects the digital audio signal. So all motherboards have the audio right down there in the opposite corner to this stuff up here, basically. A lot of power running through here and all this stuff around the CPU. We don't want any of that electromagnetic interference sort of messing with our audio signals. So in the middle there, we've got a total of 3 M2 slots, so that's pretty decent. PCIe X16 reinforced there with the aluminium frame. That's where our graphics card goes. Obviously our CMOS battery there. We've got a PCIe X4 slot here, not X8. And we got an X1 at the bottom. So even though that slot looks just as long as that slot, it's actually only connected 1/4 of the way along. So this is actually what we call an X4 slot. X1, X4, then there's an X8, and then there's the full X16, which is what we've got at the top, that length. So around the back, our rear I/O, we've got pretty good rear I/O on this. Total of 10 USB ports, including one Type-C, 2.5 gigabit LAN. We've got a HDMI and DisplayPort there. Don't use these ports because you're just going to use the onboard CPU graphics, not your actual 5080. We've got Wi-Fi 6, Bluetooth 5.2. We've got a good robust audio setup here, including a Sony Philips digital interface, aka optical audio out. So if you've got a high-end sound bar or good audio system you want to hook up, you can do that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Flash BIOS button, you don't really need to worry about that. And yeah, you've got, it's mainly all USB 3 and above. There's only 2 USB 2s, so happy days. Alrighty, well, let's get stuck right into it. Starting with our nice Klevv CRAS V. Oh man, where is my head? See, I'm not a natural YouTuber. I'm not like some crazy ass extroverted content creator. I'm just like a regular dude. I build PCs. I've been building PCs my whole life. And during COVID, lots of people wanted PCs, so I actually turned my side project into less of a side project, I guess you could say. I've done it full time for many years. But yeah, I'm not trained for, you know, YouTube. If you told me that I would be behind a camera building PCs when I was younger, I'd be like, what the fuck? I'm not going to be on TV. Because when I was like a kid, we only really had TV, right? We didn't, like, in the 90s, before the .com era. Yeah, it was just stuff on TV or in movies. Anyway, Grandpa Tim will shut the fuck up and install our M2 drive, our crucial P10 Gen 4 NVMe SSD. So, crucial are they're basically Samsung's American rival. There's only 4 companies that produce the actual NAND flash chips that are on the SSD. That's where the storage is. So the quality of SSDs is fairly consistent. This is a Gen 4, so I am going to install it in the one with a heatsink. As a general rule, you want your Gen 4 drives to have a heatsink. However, your Gen 3 drives do not need a heatsink, and very little difference in performance between them. So, you know, for file storage and stuff, a Gen 3 is actually favorable to a Gen 4. Gen 4 is when you want the extra speed, so, you know, it's typically for a boot drive or a dedicated gaming drive. So always remember to remove this bit of plastic from inside the motherboard heat shields, heat sinks. That way you get the full benefit. It's called a thermal pad, and basically it's very similar to thermal paste. It helps transfer heat to the outer metal there. So get that installed and your life will be a little bit better. Your Gen 4 drive will last longer. Okay, so our CPU, motherboard and RAM is installed. Now it's time to look at the cooler. Alrighty, it's got our Galahad GA2, also known as the Galahad. And when it says GA2, it's not an upgraded version of the original Galahad. It's completely redesigned and re-engineered, and all the problems of the original Galahad have been fixed up. It's a completely new design. The original Galahads, they put a 3-year warranty on them, and the problem is that, you know, they didn't last frickin' 3 years. Alrighty. So, oh, what was that? Remove our standard included motherboard mounting brackets. Such a waste, man. Do you know how many these things I take off because we install a separate cooler? I think it reuses the bolts though. That's a step in the right direction. This will be a pretty straightforward installation, I think. It's pretty simple. There's clear markings on the brackets to tell you, you know, which way up it's meant to go and all that. That looks like for Intel. I don't think I need that for AMD. No, I'm almost certain I don't. Okay. Yeah, you really only need about half a P's worth of thermal paste. You don't need absolute shitloads. pro tip. So if you got your cable, good way of doing good cable management is to, where possible, run your cable underneath the brackets of your cooler, where possible. Like, don't, it's not going to work in every scenario. It's nice and easy. I was able to thumb tighten them. Alrighty. There we go, that's looking nice. Sort of tuck that cable there, right beside that power connection there. I'll keep it all looking nice. Have a quick chat, quick look at the chat, I should say. Lite says, this is an excellent motherboard for AM5. Absolutely, mate, it really is. Don't like flip out and go, oh god, why didn't you get an 850? Blah 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 blah. This was the best value board that you can get. The 850s are not a great deal different to the 650s. They are very much a refresh, not some fundamental change in the technology. So, you know, in this case, I have no issues here pairing a Ryzen 9000 series on a 600 series motherboard. It's just not a problem. So, all right, and the fans come pre-installed. How easy is that? Alrighty. So, look at this power supply. What do we get? I haven't used one of this model before. I've used shitloads of Deepcool power supplies, don't get me wrong, but I haven't used this exact model. And so this is an ATX 3.1 power supply here with a 12+4 cable native, so we don't have to use any of those skanky 12+4 adapter cables that you get with the 40 and 50 series cards. Alrighty, this has come out of China's mega factory for Deepcool. They just built a massive state-of-the-art manufacturing facility there. Costs like 2.5 billion US dollars or some shit. And yeah, now they make a lot better stuff than what they did before. So we got our 12+4 there, our standard 20+30 motherboard power there, and then we've got combined PCIe and CPU inputs there, with 3 SATA slash Molex cables. So that's all you need. And braided cables. There you go. Happy days. You can buy little combs for these, but I don't think they're necessary. I think they look fine. Alrighty, so here's our motherboard. So yeah, don't be confused. 24 pins on one end and then 30 on the other. That's just because of the higher voltage pins. They need to split them over different pins. What do we got here? This is, looks like a CPU. No, PCIe. We don't need any PCIe because we are using a 12+4, which is that one, before I go looking for it. So these 12+4s are symmetrical. So it's not just one end that plugs into the power supply and one end into the device. They can plug in either way. Alrighty, we need a second CPU because we got 2 8 pins up there. And I don't think I need a SATA, but we always install one SATA just in case you want to add a hard drive or something like that down the track. The rest of the cables, they go with all the other bits and pieces you get with your PC. Okay. Alrighty, that's our setup there. Got plenty of room for drives and stuff like that. How are we going for time? So let's have a look how you mount a oh, I don't have the right thread pitch for that. It's really tight. Okay, alright. Well, that's all wired up. This is, bloody hell, this is an easy to build in case. Holy shit. Damn. Happy days. Literally dropped the screw in the middle of those fans. Okay. Alrighty, so our pinout looks right. So we can just chuck this straight in. One thing it's shit about these D11 clone cases is how high they are. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're good, they perform good with big hot graphics cards. Is this bolt thread damaged? Maybe a little bit. Let me try it. was alright. I think there's something wrong with the actual fucking thread on these bolts, on these offsets. Really difficult to get these freaking I don't know. It might have just been some of the bolts I've got. There we go. Alrighty, it's always best to top mount your radiators. Depending on your case, you might not be able to get all of these bolts in place because of the pattern of the that's on the case there at the top, the slots. But yeah, don't worry too much if you can't get a couple of them in. Could be quite fine with just 4 bolts. The rest of them, the screw holes are only there not because they're needed structurally, but because that's what the oh man, I need to get a better fucking thread pitch on here. There we go. But yeah, they're only there because you can mount fans to either side of the radiator if you want, depending on how you mount it in your case. But with this cooler, the fans came pre-mounted, so geez. So we're pretty much just screwing in bolts just so you don't have empty holes there, which can attract corrosion. The rest of it's, you know, all painted and stuff, corrosion protected. These were really tight. I had to put the case down this way, press down on these bolts to pull this bit out. Alrighty. So now that that's out of the way, I can show you what we have inside there. So I've got all these cables connected to this controller, and that's it. We've got 2 other RGB components. Oh, it's got male to male. That's going to have to be independently connected. Yeah, everything here will have to be independently connected. There's not enough room on that controller. Okay. So start with your small cables, right? me. Just going to loosen a screw here. Oh. Where'd that freaking screw go? Oh. Alrighty, so now that we've got that cable plugged in there behind the board, we can do something similar with this top power cable. So that plugged into sys fan. There's really not too many freaking, it's really not a great deal of cables, because this case comes with included fans and our cooler came with pre-wired fans. I think this might be the easiest PC build that I've ever done. It's in a D11 form factor case. Alrighty, so we've got one more power and RGB connect, and we'll probably connect these down the bottom. I just realized I'd prefer not seeing these cables there on the side. So I'm gonna dismount those fans. Alright, so I am actually gonna completely remount everything on the included controller, unfortunately. It's not up to standard. Okay. Alright, so one fan, I'm happy with that. So the one I'm happy with is at the front. Okay, so those bottom fans are routed right, up to standard. Okay. So those bottom fans are done. What about these ones on the side? We need to fix them. So basically, my standard doesn't have the cables out here to the side like that. The cables have to be routed along the back. So what we're going to do to achieve that is we need to take some screws out. This top one's a bit of a pain because the top screw is slightly obstructed. I'm gonna have to fucking remove it. What a pain in the ass. Oh no, I can't even get that out. What a pain in the ass that first one was. Just because it's obstructed by the front IR on the case. The others will be much simpler. Alrighty, so what we do here is we just snap off a tiny little bit of plastic, and then our cable can go directly out the back of our fan, and then we don't have to see any skinny cables on the front side of our case. pretty tight up the top here as well. There's normally plenty of room on a D11 clone. It's pretty freaking tight. Success! Beautiful. Oh, damn. Okay. So that tidies up nicely. We just got our graphics card cable there. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 cable ties. So nothing extravagant, so if anything has to be changed or upgraded, won't have any problems. You won't have 8,000 cable ties to unhook. Alright, so it's 5080 time. Oh, look at this, what do we get? Gigabyte's warranty commitment. Yeah, I don't know about that. Alright. When you plug your graphics card in, you should wait for the little click sound. That means it's definitely inserted all the way in and the clip has engaged. Okay. Oh. There may be a random dropped bolt in case. It's nothing to worry about. Okay. So there she is, one 9800X3D with an RTX 5080. Okay. Check out that baby. Hell yeah. Whoa, feel the breeze from that baby. Am I not seeing anything? Just check that connection. Oh, it felt a little bit loose. A slightly loose connection, because the rest of the system seems like it booted up normally. except for the graphics card. Let's try that again. Oh, look at that. Probably update that BIOS. Alright, so we'll flash a new BIOS. And then we'll install Windows, and then that'll be pretty much it. Should be ready to go. There we go, make sure it's all up to date and compatible with our 50 series cards. Because the BIOS before was November last year, which is before 50 series launched. So it'd be good to make sure we're all up to date now. Don't want to be wasting time trying to frickin' sort your problems out. Griffin asks, would a 5090 fit in that case with an Arctic 360mm AIO? Should do, man. There's the Antec C5 constellation supports cards up to about at least 400 mils, man. Yeah. What's in there now is probably 320. So yeah, you got plenty of space, man, even for the biggest cards. Brett's like, Houston, we have a problem. No. That was a very simple problem. It was just a slightly loose connection on that graphics card power cable. sorry about that. Alrighty, let's configure those fans. Alrighty. So we want our Expo profile because we've got AMD, and then we can save and exit. Alright, you got a heap of goodies there. I don't think you need anything else. You got thermal paste and all your extra cables, power cables, Wi-Fi antenna, some bolts and screws, frickin' everything you can imagine. CPU socket cover, everything, all in that box. Alrighty, so we're going to bypass this. Okay, so we are in Windows. So now that we're in Windows, we can go ahead and get some of our basic drivers installed. Windows is already scared. I don't think you need a RAID driver anyway. I'm not doing a manual install. All right. Alrighty. So I always like to put down custom desktop icons just to organize things. I also like to have a link to my computer for navigating between drives easily.
Alright, so let's install what we can offline. Alright, so all this software is just basic apps that are used for PC diagnosis or just convenience. You know, VLC Media Player is the Swiss Army knife of media players. Plays pretty much any file you want. Crystal Disk Info and Disk Mark let you test the speed and lifespan of your SSDs. Everyone knows what Steam is. Hardware Monitor is a very important app. I use it for the stress test. Firmark, another app for the stress test. Okay. So we can go ahead and restart and plug in a LAN cable. We can do the online portion of our install process. And then we just worry about our benchmarks and stress test, and that's pretty much it. I think this PC is running completely fine, so shouldn't have any problems from here on in. If we do, we're going to know about it. Alrighty, let's run the benchmarks. So heaven here on high, no anti-aliasing. So GPU 2 up there, that's our graphics card. Got our temperature, usage, clock speed and wattage. Mem 2 in green, that's our VRAM usage. And CPU is obviously our CPU. RAM is obviously our RAM, and that number below RAM is how many frames per second it's currently running at. Alrighty, I think we got some other comments here. Ray says, how's Windows 11 so far, Tim? Windows 11's fine at this point. I've had it on my personal rig. It's on the streaming rig. It's fine. If you don't like the taskbar being in the center, there's an option to take it back to the left-hand side, so it's like Windows 10 and every other version before. It's very similar to Windows 10. There's a few sort of cosmetic upgrades there. There's some more security features and whatnot that are integrated into it. But yeah, look, you don't have much time left on Windows 10, so I would go ahead and just update now, because you've got less than, or you've got just over 2 months to upgrade to 11. So just do it now. It's fine. As you can see, I'm installing directly on 11 now. No more Windows 10 installations. I've already stopped doing Windows 10. So it is what it is, as they say. At least they kept Windows 10 for more than 10 years, that's all I can say. Small dog. Hey? Do you want to say hello to everyone? Here's small dog. She's not really very small, but she's a small dog. She's the runt of the litter. That's why we call her small dog. Her name's Bailey because she's the colour of Bailey's. She's a very good girl. Alright, now we run Valley, Ultra with max anti-aliasing. Even if we ran this on the same settings as Heaven, this is a more demanding benchmark. Oh, I think I'll let this one go all the way through, so let's get started on the final one. How's everything going? Oh yeah, we're pretty much done. Superposition 4K. Alrighty. I do need Cinebench. Alrighty, so we've got our nice furry donut there to stress out the graphics card. And we got Cinebench to stress out the graphics card. Minutes. Okay. And so we just log our temperatures here. So our CPU there is going to get up to about 90C on a Cinebench burn. And our graphics card, where are you? Down here. You can get up to 83 degrees and 100 on the memory and hotspot. Oh, the hotspot center there, don't worry about that 255C. The sensor for hotspot obviously isn't in that card, because if something was 255 degrees, there'd be smoke and smoldering shit everywhere. It'd be an absolute shit show. So don't worry about that. Sometimes that happens if the app is expecting to find a particular sensor and the card or motherboard or whatever doesn't have it. Like if we go up to the motherboard, no, everything on the motherboard is, everything it thinks is on the motherboard is there. CPU's up to 80. Like I said, it can get up to 90. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's where we're going to leave it for tonight, because obviously this runs for 90 minutes. There's no need to stay live for that whole process. But yeah, happy days. If anyone's got any other final questions for me before I sign off, now is your chance to ask. What do you got on those questions? Someone asked, is this a new PC for you or is it a build for someone else? Yeah, this is a customer's build. It's not a new PC for me. I don't need a new PC. Tom R says, is that the biggest that is the biggest C5 I've ever seen. Much bigger than my C7. It's not taller than a C7, but I think it might be slightly longer. Bit of a weird one. But yeah, I quite like the C5. But I think the customer chose it anyway, so no objections from me. But yes, alright, well I think that's where we'll leave it. So thanks everyone for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you all in the next video.